Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Game 2 in a best of 7 series between Az and Glade. Game 2 on Steps of War, Glade spawning as the purple Zerg player over here on the south side of the map, as the purple Terran, or sorry, purple Zerg, what am I thinking? Yeah, purple Zerg spawning over here on the south side of Steps of War. Meanwhile, on the north side, we have Az spawning as the red Protoss. So red Protoss versus purple Zerg here on Steps of War. Now, Steps of War, one of those maps where a lot of early aggression is generally rewarded. If you try to go for an early economic game, perhaps, and not get the necessary defense to defend it well, you may be in a world of hurt. You know, we do see a low ground pylon now being placed down by Az, so Az perhaps trying to set up a gateway forge system along this ridge here, making it very difficult for Zerglings to run up this ramp, or any units to run up this ramp for that matter, and also trying to protect this expansion. So Az really liking to play more of a macro style of game as opposed to fighting with really small engagements with small units. Now we do see one probe making its way into the base. Glade just pretty much doing standard gameplay so far. I don't see a spawning pool, no extractor. There isn't any sort of 6-pool or a 6-pool aggression. So now this probe is able to just wander around on the inside. We do see now a gateway being warped in here. So with a gateway being warped in here, most likely you can see a forge being warped in here, and then another building being warped in here and here, making it so that any units need to simply walk around all of these buildings. If there's a couple of photon cannons in this position, it's almost like a game of tower defense as the units try to run up those ramps and unable to, as there's too many cannons in position just trying to deal more and more damage. Glade, however, deciding not to try to take down this pylon, and now just walking and making its way into the base here, so able to just continue to gain sight. And Az has not gone for an assimilator yet, so without an assimilator, I'm not 100% sure what his strategy is going to be at this stage. We do see a zealot now being trained over here, so Az not getting an assimilator may just be trying to go really for a heavy economic game. We do see that Glade also not going for an assimilator as well, going more for a tech game, more for a macro game, and will be able to place down perhaps a hatchery in just a moment. So one probe sitting here, trying to dance back and forth, another drone coming off the mineral line, and now in comes another drone in order to try to deal more damage here, and Az deciding to finally pull back. And now Glade will be able to set up a hatchery in just a moment. I do not understand why Az just warped in a pylon here. This is a really curious move. However, doing a front door pylon seal doesn't really work that well unless you do it early enough. And that one zealot will get taken down. Az needs to cancel this pylon, otherwise he'll just lose 100 minerals for no reason. And it looks like he is not gonna, no, he's not gonna cancel it. So Az does not cancel that, and a little bit of a mismanagement there, and he will be down, economically speaking, 100 or 200 resources lost, one zealot and one pylon. So things already not looking good for Az this early in the game. So a couple of zealots sitting here perhaps will try to guard this choke point. We do see one overlord now in the air, as Az is getting just more and more minerals. Taking a look at Az, economically speaking, he has 2 probes per mineral patch. One of them, I believe, has 3. Yeah, one of them does have 3, and he's just able to trying to continue to mine at full saturation. Full saturation, sorry, will be an additional 7 probes at this stage, but still not mining at near saturation just quite yet. We do see a lot of Zerglings on over here, and now finally getting that forge. So Glade will be forced to move out with these overlords. Overlords obviously can get hit by photon cannons, and those overlords are very precious to Glade, so he cannot afford to lose them that nilly-willy. Back over here, we do see a hatchery nearing completion as well, as more and more Zerglings starting to get macroed up into the center of the map. The Zerglings, however, do not have that movement speed, as no sides have mined any gas just quite yet. We do see some Zerglings now trying to move out over here. Zealots trying to engage. However, the Zealots should have been fighting with their backs to these buildings. If they did fight with their backs to these buildings, they'd be in a very dominant position. However, Zerglings may be able to run by here, and now in comes one photon cannon, and now probes coming off the mineral line. That's always a really bad sign. One photon cannon now continuing to fight here. Will this photon cannon get taken down is the question. No, down it goes. So, and now very heavy losses here as the Cybernetics are now being warped in as well, and one Zealot now being engaged, and now that Zealot will be able to continue to turn this fight around, and more Zerglings will get taken down. However, we do see a lot of probes have been taken down, and now Az may be able to take down this one pylon. And if this one pylon goes before the Zealot is able to come out, really, Az is going to be in a very hard position once again, and more probes coming off the mineral line in order to engage and fight over here, trying to just continue to fight and take down these Zerglings. And now, wow, Az in a very, very hurt situation. Taking a look at his harvester count, down to 12 probes, and that is all he has. Unable to warp in any additional units as he does not have a pylon in this position. Now trying to train up additional probes as well, trying to get a stronger economy going. However, Glade can now just sit back a little bit and just continue to macro up. He doesn't want to make a critical mistake. He knows that by simply staying in this game, getting a strong economy, he will be able to take this game, I believe, just because of the sheer amount of discrepancy in mining. So every game minute, Glade gets an additional 600 resources over Az. On top of that, Az needs to continue to just train up a lot of probes as well. So economically speaking, Glade doesn't need to train up that many additional harvesters or that many more harvesters to engage. One zealot now making their way, able to take down one drone there, and that is it. And losing another 100 mineral zealot for one drone. Once again, one of Glade's overlords now in the bases, flying, giving sight. No, realizing that Az cannot do anything really too sneaky. We do see one photon cannon in this position, and now a gateway being warped in as well. So with this gateway being warped in, this photon cannon will be able to perhaps protect this rather narrow choke point here and protect all of these front door buildings. Army-wise, we see both sides with no army. So no army, and both sides just getting a lot of harvesters. So really, hats off to Glade for Glade not trying to expose himself at this stage in the game. He is trying to get an additional hatchery and now going into tier 2. So this may become a Hydralisk Roach combination in just a moment, as he knows that he has a stronger economy and will be able to have the additional larva to pump out that many units. Continuing to play, Glade just sitting in his base, both sides just still playing Sim StarCraft. Wish I could tell you more about the different strategy at this stage, but really all Az can hope to do is just try to macro up, hope that Glade makes a mistake with his units, and Az perhaps needs to get some Psystorm or Colossi rather quickly. If Colossi are able to, with that extended thermal lance range, fight behind this wall here, it would be able to deal a lot of damage and rack up that damage rather quickly, as we see Glade is only continuing to produce more roaches and maybe even a Hydralisk den in just a moment, but it just looks like Glade is going for mass roaches so far. So now mass roaches being brought into play. We do see that these destructible rocks will get taken down, and Glade now trying to take a third base. So Glade wanting to make sure that he has one expansion or one base ahead of Az throughout this whole entire game. Now just trying to continue to expand over here onto this high ground. Will be able to expand onto this high ground in just a moment as soon as he decides to move out over there. We do see Glade now with the movement speed on these overlords. Overlords now flying through the air, able to gain continual sight, as evolution chambers are now being morphed into play as well. Back over here, we now see an overseer moving out. So that overseer with a movement speed of 2.75, fairly fast, able to gain sight and be able to reveal any cloaked units any burrowed units. Any cloaked units if in fact Az did try to go for some Dark Templars. We do see some sentries in position, and now also a nice contaminate onto that forge, so that forge was unable to finish that level 1 weapons research for quite some time, and now pulling back again, so that overseer perhaps will be able to get up another 75 energy and perhaps contaminate again. If he's able to contaminate again, these zealots, sentries, and stalkers will be dealing a significant less amount of damage. Roaches now moving out, however, that is a lot of roaches, and these roaches are simply able to just drop and then move and attack and deal more damage. We do see some force fields, however the force fields did not completely wall off this whole entire location here, and now Glade just simply running over his opponent Az with mass roaches, trying to go after the forge. Down it goes, now continuing to just deal more damage. Very nice, well-placed force field here, and now just trying to hold off this attack. One photon cannon, however, still within damage range of these roaches. Roaches with a range of 3 in patch 1.1.1, and now these roaches will just be able to infest into the Protoss base of Az, and Az is forced to say GG. So an aggressive expansion attempt by Az, trying to get one pylon and one gateway here. I'm surprised that he even tried to move out with this early zealot and then try to place a pylon in this position, in this position here. I think that was just a really, really big mistake by Az. Because of that, losing 200 minerals that early in the game, when the Zerglings decided to just finally rush and push into Az's base, Az was forced to pull probes off the mineral line in order to deal with them. Also, by taking down a couple critical key pylons, Az was unable to warp in any extra zealots, as one zealot was partially trained but just stuck in gateway limbo. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Az and Glade. Stay tuned for Game 3 taking place on Debris Field.